Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the first ever Tuesday Night Football show where you're going to get your exclusive NFL coverage up to date right after the week just ended. Here's how we're going to start it off. First, we're going to go through the roundtable, and our boys are going to hit you with the weekly recap.
What's going on, fellas?
What up? What up? How we doing?
Tuesday night. Let's get it.
It's time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, let's dive in straight into the weekly recap. First off, I'm going to talk about Texans-Packers this week. Probably one of the best games of the season so far, having two stud young quarterbacks going off, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love. CJ Stroud didn't have to throw the ball too much. He only had 86 passing yards. Rushing game was absolutely eating up this Packers defense this week, but definitely a game that was just phenomenal. Jordan Love playing really, really well. 220 passing yards this week. Huge win over Texans, which is a definite playoff contender this year. So we'll see how that plays into the rest of the season with some potential playoff games down the road. Next up as well, Nick Chubb coming back to the field after missing, almost 2 full seasons of injuries. Coming back, only had 22 rushing yards, but he scored his first touchdown in almost 2 years. Huge games. Love seeing him back, especially for those Cleveland fans. They love that guy. Love to see him back. Another one, Jaden Daniels kind of going down with a little bit of a rib injury this week. Definitely not loving that if you're a Commanders fan. Sorry, Angel.
That one didn't hurt the Commanders too much, right?
Yeah, not too much. I mean,
Mariota came in and
Mariota looked good, man. I mean, hey, he had 205 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, fairly enough, it was kind of a weak Panthers defense, but a guy that's been a bench rider for the last couple of years coming in and playing pretty well.
It begs the question, is it Mariota or is it the system that he's in?
It's the system. It's the system. You don't know.
As a Commanders fan, you're going to admit that it's not Jaden Daniels?
No. It's the system. He's a rookie. Let's be real. He's been put with the quarterback guru that is going to enhance his capabilities and enhance what he does. So it's the system that he's put in. Mariota is an old school, almost can run the same type of system. He's an athletic quarterback. He can run. He can throw. He knows when to slide, if he slides at all. Even though he did truck somebody. That was pretty impressive. But it's definitely the system. Washington hasn't had a system like that in a long time. So.
Yeah,
we do gotta take a second to give the Commanders some props here. I mean, not every team can have their starting quarterback go down with the injury that early in the game and still blow out their opponent. It doesn't matter what Carolina's.
Guys, we can always take more than a second to talk about Washington if we need to.
I mean, we could. Let's use the whole hour. Waste the hour.
But I will say they are real, even though the Panthers aren't the best team to able to still put up numbers like that with your backup. That's impressive.
I would say as an Eagles fan, I'm a little terrified of the
as you
Commanders
should be,
as
sir.
a whole.
I didn't want to say it, but
that's gonna be a fun game.
All right, so let's talk about my recaps. I'm going to talk about Russell cooking for Pittsburgh. It hurts.
Let us cook.
Let him cook. It hurts that Fields, may be regulated to the bench now because of what Tomlin wants to see, that ball thrown in the air. And Fields was really just running it. And Russell came in, threw a couple deep passes. He throws a nice deep ball. Pickens, loving it. So that works out. That's giving Tomlin what he thinks that he needs. Even though Fields, led him to a 4-2 record, Tomlin wasn't satisfied. He didn't like what he saw as far as what he thought his team should look like. So Russ came in and definitely lit a fire under Pittsburgh.
And let's talk about those throws. I mean, that's the biggest difference I've seen between what's the backup over there now?
Justin Fields versus Russell Wilson, yeah.
That's the difference. Justin's trying so hard to get the ball out, and he's in every single pass that he's throwing is like a line drive. And Russ is over there throwing these floaters. Yeah. And that's giving Pickens an opportunity.
And we're not going to act like Russ just came into the game and started lighting it up. It took him almost into the second half, really.
Yeah, he wasn't.
He had to warm up. He's been hurt. He hasn't really played since preseason, so
he didn't even play in preseason really either.
Once he warmed up, though, he lit it up. He did light it up a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, for we can't give Russ all the credit. Pickens, was an absolutely phenomenal,
catching everything.
Yeah, I was like, this is almost better than prime Antonio Brown, from what I've seen. We're not going to talk anymore about that, but
okay, that's maybe jumping the gun a little bit. He does have the circus catches, but the fact that Russ is lofting it up there and giving him a chance to do that, it really changes the way.
It really did. Okay, and then my second one, I did want to talk about how Detroit skated through and beat Minnesota.
Good game.
Phenomenal.
It was a good game, but honestly, I think Detroit was blessed by the gods to pull that one out because I feel like Minnesota really had it, and then
Well, it's hard to beat those guys at home, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it
Just
really
the
is.
energy. I'm surprised. They usually blow teams out. I mean, my Niners went there and we just look like a
Pee Wee
Well,
football team.
I mean,
Pee Wee football team with us, the fans and the energy. It's almost like
It is the Niners.
back in when the Saints, like after Hurricane Katrina hit,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the Saints went on that roll. Every time you went and played the Saints at the Superdome,
You could feel it.
it was just overwhelming energy. So the
Yeah.
fact that the Lions are still in there, I mean, and Goff's damn near throwing a perfect game every game. So
Yeah, it is
it's
too.
incredible.
But the one thing about Detroit that, I mean, we can kind of all agree on is it doesn't matter if they're down, how much they're getting beat by or whatever, they do not stop.
No.
They
Doesn't
are
matter
like,
how much they're down,
Down, but
by.
never
they,
out.
they do
Doesn't matter
not
at all.
stop. It's like, I feel like they think every play they get is going to be a touchdown.
Absolutely.
Every time they touch the ball, it's going to be a touchdown. So,
Very impressive too, considering Goff was a cast off, right?
Yeah, he definitely
Everybody
was.
thought
Cast off
he
for
didn't
Matthew
have-
Stafford. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
And he's old school football, right? He's staying in the pocket, kind of a statue.
Yep.
Little
But he's
bit.
getting the ball out quick. It's accurate. I mean,
Very
wow, I'm
accurate.
very impressed
I
with
mean,
Goff.
absolutely. What I will say is in a league full of running quarterbacks, it's nice to see someone just stand in the pocket and be able to deliver with barely any completions at that, right? Just phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty, I guess I'm gonna go on to me. Well, as you can see, Kelly Green, Eagles Super Bowl ring, representing the team all day long.
And no,
I'm a-
guys, he did not play. He bought that off eBay. So let's be clear on that.
I mean, you can't
know
tell.
you
You,
see
can't
his-
tell from home. So
I know you see his size and you think he's a player. He did not play. He bought that.
I
A
mean, I
little
could be
dig
more,
right there.
Damn, that was wild,
All
wild.
we're starting
guys.
we're starting to show off a little.
A little hostile, man.
I just
Damn.
didn't want the fans confused, thinking like, "Oh, we have a player on the team." When the reality is, I mean, we all got a debit card.
and,
Let's be real.
and the reality is, one of our teams has actually been to a Super Bowl in the last 20-something years. But let's move on from that.
All right,
So I'm gonna go ahead and take. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Eagles as pretty much my game of the week on that one. I mean, has anyone realized the Eagles have not allowed a touchdown in back-to-back weeks?
I did not notice that.
Yeah.
Back-to-back weeks.
Probably the
Eagles
first
not
time
allowed.
ever.
Now, granted, they didn't play the two best teams, but still, no touchdowns whatsoever. Held them to 3 points. Jalen Hurts only completed 10 passes in this entire game, and it's a 28-3 victory.
But man, does AJ Brown kind of
He looks good.
change their
Everything.
whole team, right?
Yeah.
Is
He's
it
kinda
AJ
the
or
heart-
is it Saquon?
I
Saquon
really think it's
definitely,
AJ,
but-
man. They just feel and look like a different team. It's kind of like Debo with the Niners. You know, he's not probably
Because the Eagles have always kind of had a decent running back, so you can't really be like, "Oh,
I mean, Swift did a great job for
they
them.
got a running back now, and now
Absolutely.
they can leave the receivers open." They've always had a decent running back. Saquon's better than what they've had, but they've always had a decent running.
But what I
Right.
will say, though, is the Eagles, for first and foremost, they had 2 starters go out. They had 1 starter actually leave the game with a concussion. They had the left tackle, Jordan Mailata, who's going to be out for a couple weeks on a hamstring injury as well.
Yeah, he's
and
on
they
IR.
still almost went for 200 yards. But what I would want to highlight is there was like a clip of Nick Sirianni talking to Saquon Barkley right around the end of the game. He was like, hey, you're like 13 yards away from your all-time, career high.
Yeah, your career high.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it? And he's like, no, man, let's let these young guys eat.
Yeah.
Total team spirit. I love it. He wants to see his team it as a whole. I mean, you cannot.
Yeah, and
Just
you would think,
absolute
being that he was
class.
back in New York, that he would have wanted to just put his foot on their throat.
Well, I mean, he
but-
did do that, right?
I mean, he was
Yeah.
their entire
Well,
offense.
Did he
for
need
5
to
years.
get the kneecap in?
Let me speak about this as a whole, and then I'll move on to my next game. It's so good that literally when they scored a touchdown against the Giants, the whole crowd full of Giants fans
Loved
cheered
it.
for Saquon Barkley. That's
Yeah.
at home. Like that's wild to me. That's
But you realize why though?
They loved
Because-
him.
because
They
the rest
loved
of their
him.
franchise hasn't
Because
really
of
done anything.
Hard
But
Knocks. Because of Hard Knocks.
I mean,
Because before everybody saw that on Hard Knocks, they thought one thing about Saquon,
Yeah.
and then when they saw the Hard Knocks thing, it was like, oh no, it wasn't Saquon. It was actually
It was these guys.
It was
Yep.
these guys.
Yeah.
absolutely. But I will move on to my next one in Bills Titans and Josh Allen back on track as always. I mean, honestly, I took him as the best quarterback in fantasy football as whole at the start of the year. Keon Coleman finally doing something, and it's 4 receptions, literally killing it, over 125 yards. But I will say though, Amari Cooper in his first game with the Bills. I mean,
Man, was that a
who?
good pickup?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gives Josh Allen some breathing room, right? He's opening the playing field up, and he has some reliable hands to catch those passes. He's dealing with kind of second stringers this whole time, I feel.
Yeah, some young guys that, Keon Coleman, rookie, and Khalil Shakir, young guys. A lot of these young guys, they can't really, catch the ball like that. But Amari Cooper coming in, he's one of those guys that has such reliable hands. You can't really count him out.
I mean, Coop, Kincaid, and Cook can't ask for better weapons.
Honestly, they just plugged in play. They took out Stephon Diggs from last year.
Just right in the same.
And just pretty much all you got to do is.
And Coop's not going to talk or argue with Josh Allen on the sideline.
Everywhere he's been, he's one of those players that I don't understand why it gets traded, because everywhere he goes, he produces.
Yeah,
he produces. Like,
absolutely.
And he shuts his mouth. All he does is play. He doesn't get in no trouble. He doesn't do anything, but he keeps getting traded.
Absolutely. Yeah. But what I will say, and then I'll let John take over from here, is Josh Allen. You know how much he loves to run the ball, how much you feel like he has to carry this team on his back? 1 rushing yard. One. And
that's the Coop effect.
Absolutely.
He can rely on others. I love it. Now, to go around the league, we got some breaking news. They hit the league.
Ding, ding, ding.
This last week, it's crazy. A lot of different injuries and stuff like that. What do you got for us, Caleb?
Yeah, first off, for us, huge injury for the 49ers was just kick 'em while they're down. Brandon Ayuk tearing his ACL and his MCL, and there's potentially more damage pending MRI. I mean, he's out for the year and going to be out for a huge chunk of 2025 as well, depending on how much damage there is that we haven't seen yet. It's a huge loss for the Niners, man. Which, I mean, we're already down so much. McCaffrey's still out. Javon Hargrave, when he tore his pec earlier in the year. I mean, there's so many guys that we have out this year, and this just does not help.
Is that a training camp injury?
What,
because, didn't he hold out at the beginning of the year?
Brandon Ayuk? No.
he held out. It was more contract issues than anything.
Yeah. I'm not saying. I'm just saying he held out, so he didn't really train with the team, and then
maybe a little rust thing, you think?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's not like Devontae Adams, where it was like the Forrest Gump thing, where suddenly he got traded and then he was able to run again.
Right.
Miraculously.
Right.
Hamstring.
I honestly think that did play a part. Him not practicing, getting the playing time in, just him being a little off. He wasn't producing right up until this point.
Pretty rough year for him.
But I mean, you take a hit like that, it's hard for anybody to get up after that one. But I will say, Jennings was kind of hiding in the shadows there, third string, and we saw what he can do when he's in the starting lineup. So I really feel it opens up the door for Jennings and Purdy connection.
Yeah, definitely does.
Plus, we got Pearsall back.
Yes,
right?
Pearsall, he looked pretty good. Pretty good.
Taking a gunshot to the chest and able to play
2 months later.
2 months later is pretty incredible. I'm glad he's alive and just able to play in the NFL still. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Brian Robinson do it a couple years ago. Granted, it was his leg, not his chest. A little different, but still. I mean, 2 months removed from getting shot in the chest, and he's putting up, nothing crazy. It was three catches, 21 yards, but
this is his first game, right, or second?
It was his first game in.
First game in? Oh, okay, man. That's respectable.
Yeah.
That's respectable. It's on me now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Destroyed his whole leg, tore everything in his body. He's obviously gone. They're still going to have to pay him like $300 million. But is this a blessing in disguise for Cleveland?
I mean, you sound like one of Cleveland's fans over there.
Yeah, I was
a little bit
for it.
Listen,
you deserve it. That was crazy. I never heard some stuff like that. I'm just saying,
like, is it a blessing in disguise? I mean, because the coach obviously would not pull him. It didn't matter what he did. He would not pull him. Now it gives an opportunity for them to actually possibly win some games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jameis Winston taking that starting role, yeah.
So is it a blessing in disguise? That's all I'm going to say on that.
Hey, I will say, locker room interview, Jameis Winston
was not happy.
What kind of classy speech was that, though, that he gave?
I love that speech.
Yeah.
I love that speech. How he was just he was about lifting people up and building people up when they're at their weakest moment. And honestly, as a whole, like, you cannot just.
But you got to think, everything that Jameis Winston's been through, I mean, he's learned some valuable lessons.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure he's had somebody that's had to pull him out because he was in the gutter for a long time. So I'm sure he's been through that type of fire. So,
and you know what? Him giving his testimony that passionately about Watson makes me kind of forget about the massages for a little while.
And massages on your heart.
All right.
Aw, Muffin.
But honestly, what I will say is, regardless of what a person's done in their life, you have to kind of show a little bit of compassion. I was like, clearly
100%.
He's done for the season. You can clearly see it when he was getting carted off the field before the fans started jumping on his back. The man felt it. I mean, regardless of his numbers, he wants to be there. He wants to perform. He wants to play football.
Right.
I mean, and you just see it on the way off the field. And honestly, I felt super bad for him, and I wish him nothing but the best as far as recovering.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, he's still gonna have his what is it, 280 million?
Yeah.
He'll be resting up on an island somewhere. He'll probably get a second.
We'll see.
But it
Better
is
It's
just
rough.
crazy to hear 70,000 fans so happy for your injury.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Never seen
that's
that
the part
before.
that sucks.
Yeah.
But also,
That's
it's like
what-
Cleveland hasn't won anything like literally ever. So I was like, how are we gonna sit here and just like, oh yeah. But what I will kind of go from there, as heartbreaking as even more heartbreaking is Chris Godwin. I mean, 2 minutes. I was 2 minutes left in the game, and
Yeah.
you guys were already gonna lose the game, and you
No
could have
reason
pulled
to
your
be in
start.
there.
Like, no reason. You're playing for pride at that point, and I'm
No
sorry,
reason.
but pride goeth before a very long fall, and
Yeah.
they lost Godwin. It looks like for the season, dislocated ankle. He's had surgery, and then it hasn't been reported that he's out for the season. But I mean, he's had surgery.
It's
so
likely.
Well, is this
it's likely.
so he
Dislocated.
had a surgery on there?
Yeah,
just
so
to
he had
clarify,
surgery on
because a
it today.
dislocation seems like you can pop it right back in and get right back in the game, right?
But the thing about it with the ankles, you can also have like muscles down there that are also like need to be repaired physically. as
Right.
well.
There could be much more damage down there that we don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's got the tendons in the ankle.
But I was like, Todd Bowles, what are you doing? You have 2 minutes left. You're not winning the game. Pull your starters. What are you, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
There was
I
like
really don't.
Yeah, I think it was like a minute 14 left in the game. They were down by like 10. Why are you keeping your guys in? Why?
Yeah, and I was like, from the Bucks, I was like, you went from possibly being one of the
Better teams.
playoff teams to now you lost Mike Evans on a hamstring injury, which wasn't, again, I mean, hamstrings are hamstrings.
Right.
But that Chris Godwin could have been completely avoided.
Yeah,
Completely
100%.
avoided.
Just crazy how it's gonna take they had a 1% chance of coming back to have him in the game. Your
Probably
starters,
less than, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
that was crazy.
It was
But
more for the-
with
it was
him
more
and
for the
Evans
fantasy
out,
points.
definitely go pick up that running back. On your
Yeah, pick up Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I
He's been looking
absolutely
good
did
this year,
that.
man.
well, I
no,
mean,
not Bucky. There's another.
Oh, Rashad White.
Rashad White, man, he had a good game last week, so I kind of feel like he's gonna get the ball.
Well,
a little
there's a bunch of receivers on the market, so I mean, you
There's
can
a
always
lot
pull
of
up
them,
a
yeah.
receiver.
Yeah.
You can always pull up a receiver and see what happens there, but you never know. You never know.
All right, let's look ahead towards the next week. We got a lot of exciting games coming our way. A lot of good matchups. I'm excited for it. Caleb,
Yeah.
which games stand out to you the most, sir?
So I got two games coming up this week that I'm really keeping my eye on. We're looking at Colts Texans this week. This is a fight for the AFC South. Winner of this game takes ownership of that division. This is a huge game. Anthony Richardson versus CJ Stroud, two young guys playing. I mean, Anthony Richardson, coming off the injury, but CJ Stroud, he's been balling out this year. He balled out last year as well. So we're gonna see two teams that definitely could make the playoffs this year, fighting for that first place spot in the division this week.
Gotta love the division games, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I
division
can
games are hard,
see
man.
Stroud. They lost that nail biter last week. I can see
Nail
him
biter.
coming back with the vengeance. But
Yeah.
Richardson, do you have much confidence in him? I mean, they kind of looked a little better with Flacco.
They look way better with Flacco. I mean, I get it. You drafted Anthony Richardson in the first round. That's your guy, but reality has to set in at some point, right?
Yeah, I think some teams take it too fast, where they're putting these young guys in way too fast. Guys, teams like the Packers, where they're letting Aaron Rodgers sit behind Brett Favre for a while. We're letting Jordan Love sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a little bit. There are certain teams that need to kind of follow that same pathway. We see Atlanta doing that now with Michael Penix, and I think there are certain teams that do need to follow that a little bit more. Now, granted, there are teams where putting in that young guy right away is the correct move. Seeing CJ Stroud last year taking away the reins almost immediately, and I mean, there's no look back, but there are some guys where we need to see a little bit more leeway in that.
Well, I mean, you definitely got to play the man. I mean,
Yeah, give him some time. Yeah, but
he's
Yeah,
your
you could
starting
throw a-
quarterback.
You
he's
could
your
throw a
future.
package in there for him or two, but
Throw like the Wildcat offense in there
man,
for him.
something. But yeah, Flacco.
Well, no, I'm talking about Richardson.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame the coaching staff of the Colts playing him because you got to see what you have. He's
Right.
so young. He's your future last year. You're
Yeah, he
looked
excited
good
to
last
have him
year.
this
You
year.
play
I
him
mean,
in preseason, and you want to win games. I mean,
but Flacco, he might not play the.
But the thing is, if
He's not your
something's
savior.
working, why take it out when it's working for something that could possibly be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
exactly. Same thing with Justin Fields versus Russell Wilson. We've been talking about it. I mean, Justin Fields 4-2 record. They come in bench him for Russell Wilson. Granted, it ended up working out in this week, but
well, I mean, you got to think it's almost a comparison, but not really the comparison because it's Russell Wilson. He's a proven quarterback. You know what he could do. Richardson is, I mean, he can't even play a complete game without getting injured. So it's like, yeah, the team looks a lot better with Flacco, but I mean, I guess you got to play the young guy because you think you see the potential in him. I personally I'd stick with Flacco.
Yeah.
Flacco's old. Don't get me wrong, but Father Time is on his side for some reason right now.
For some reason, yeah.
Because he's balling.
Roll with the hot hand, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's be honest.
But another game I'm keeping my eye on this week, we're looking at Cowboys-Niners. I love my Niners, but we've been struggling a little bit this year, banged up, way too banged up. But this is, two teams that both have struggled a little bit this year. Cowboys have not been playing their best ball this year. Their defense has not looked good. Their offense has kind of been shaky. Like I said, Niners, we've been banged up all year. This is going to be a game where it's two guys that, we've been going back a long time. So we're going to see who survives this week, because that's really the question, is who's going to survive this week, because it's going to be a rough game.
Caleb, is C-Mac due back this week, or what's going on with him? What's the latest?
He's coming back. Nothing confirmed yet. There's no confirmed timetable quite yet, but he's making good progress in his rehab. So we could be seeing him this week. We could be seeing him 2 weeks from now. It's really a question just to see how far along he is in his rehab.
What about Debo? Debo left the game.
Yeah, so he got
early.
hospitalized with pneumonia-like symptoms. So it's not confirmed that he has pneumonia, but he had pneumonia-like symptoms. So he could be playing on Sunday. Honestly, I don't think he will.
Yeah, from reports, there was like fluid in his lungs and everything
Yeah,
that they
it's
had to
not
drain,
good.
and it's
Yeah, not good.
Wow. So, the Cowboys have looked pretty bad, right? But with how beat up the Niners are,
it's going to be a rough game.
Coin flip.
They may have a chance. I think I'm going to be the biggest Niners fan, though. Come on.
yeah. Come on. I was like, I can't even root against the Niners in this one. It has to be rooting against the Cowboys all day.
Absolutely.
No matter what
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
That's the only time, though.
That's the only time that we're all family when it comes to NFL Sunday is when the
Cowboys are
playing the Niners. Yeah,
that's the only time. The only time.
All right, so I got a couple games that I'm going to discuss right now. Let's talk about Washington, Chicago. It was built up to be a great young buck quarterbacks going at it, Heisman Trophy winners going at it, and then Daniels obviously with the rib injury. The game doesn't lessen for me personally. I still think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Mariota runs that system well. He knows the system. I feel like Chicago is playing pretty good right now. Caleb all of a sudden decided, hey, I'm in the NFL, so let me start playing like I'm an NFL quarterback. And he's throwing up monster numbers. I think last game.
I picked him up on fantasy.
I just picked up a Chicago receiver, too. I'm not going to lie. I think he threw like 4 touchdowns last game.
Yep.
He's balling. He's
quietly having a very good season, honestly.
Yeah.
So is it confirmed Jaden Daniels is out?
So he's week to week.
Yeah, they put him as week to week. I don't think he'll play this week, though. I think after what Mariota did, they have confidence Mariota can run the system.
Yeah.
So they'll give him a week, the rest, and then kind of evaluate him the week after. Because the bye week for Washington's not until like week 14.
Why have a bye week so late? I mean,
trust me, I was looking at
right before the playoffs.
Half my fantasy squad is Washington players, so I'm like, damn, I'm screwed. I got to figure this out because
that's ready to take the L.
That's like right there, playoff time almost.
Noted why Angel always finishes close to last. I mean, this year you got a fighting chance.
I was in the playoffs last year, sir. I didn't finish close to last in anything. So yeah, let's get our recap correct.
Well, we're in the present. Actually, you know what? I can't even lie. Your team is doing pretty solid.
Exactly.
They're going well right now.
We're 5-2. We're playing. We're doing our thing. We've only had one major game this season
against Baltimore.
Versus Baltimore, they beat us, but we were competitive.
Yeah,
that's all we can ask. That's all we can ask. We got a whole new coaching staff. I mean, we got pretty much a whole new team. So we're competitive. So I'm happy with that. The second game I did want to talk about is Tampa versus Atlanta.
Ooh, the rematch.
Tampa. Ooh,
they're not.
Before
they're banged up, man.
Yeah, they're like the Niners right now.
I kind of feel like Atlanta is gonna just mollywop them.
We'll see what Kurt we get. He still seems a little skittish to me.
A little bit.
Yeah, it still seems a little skittish. Depending on what Kurt we get, if we get jewelry dripping Kirk
O'Chains.
Kirk O'Chains. If we get some Kirk O'Chains up in here, then Tampa doesn't have a shot. But if we get still skittish skirt,
the big Kirk is dripping. I was like, I don't know how that started. I need to go into the whole backstory and how that started because that's amazing. That's so funny.
Yeah, he just Justin Jefferson last year gave him a chain on the plane when they were coming back from London, and that's how the whole thing started. Was just goodness. Justin Jefferson giving this man a chain. Kirk was shirtless on the plane,
flexing,
just going at it, dancing, and just having fun.
I love him taking that to Atlanta though.
Oh yeah,
that swag.
He's embraced it. He's embraced it, and I love it.
So we'll see how that goes. I feel like Atlanta's going to win the game, but we'll see what Baker does. You know,
Hey, this is a chance for Baker to really showcase how much he's improved, right? I mean, you're going to have both of your starting wide receivers out. It's confirmed Evans is out.
yeah, Evans is
yeah.
out with a hamstring. He'll be out the next couple weeks.
Yeah,
at least.
so I mean, we're going to see what that man's made of.
This is, I was like, this has Atlanta written all over it, honestly.
But it could be a trap game.
It could be a trap game. Those have been.
Division games, you can never really say one team is absolutely winning that game because we've seen it too, where
it could
that
be
lower
a
end
trap
team.
game.
Absolutely. But I will go ahead and take over from the Eagles and Bengals. Two very good elite offenses. And yes, I said elite offenses. I don't want to hear any arguments at this table. What I will say, though, as an Eagles fan,
If A.J. Brown is playing.
I'm absolutely sick of Jalen Hurts taking all the goal line away from Saquon. Because honestly,
Is that because you have Saquon as your fantasy? In your
I
fantasy
think
lineup?
that's the reason
that,
why.
and I made a bet for Saquon to go
You feel
over
like
2
you're losing
touchdowns.
points?
And I'm like, think about this rationally. If you have Saquon Barkley on your team and you're at the 5-yard line, 1st and goal, and you run it 4 times, not one of those goes to Saquon Barkley. Are you kidding me right now?
That's what was in the
Yeah.
group chat. I was wondering what you were I wasn't even paying attention. I was like,
Vegas
"I've seen
was
him 5
definitely in
times."
Vegas was definitely in their ears and was like, you know what? No, we can't give it to him. So many people have made this bet for his revenge game. But again, Jalen Hurts didn't have to do much. 10 completed passes in the last game. Saquon Barkley is this offense. Let's not even
100%.
AJ Brown, yes, I will admit to you, sir. AJ Brown he's that guy. But
The game
Saquon
changer.
Barkley is the game. He is the Eagles game.
It's a healthy Saquon.
I don't know. It
It's a
looked to me
healthy
like they were
Saquon.
struggling with A.J. Brown out. You know, all their games were close. You know, they came close to losing them.
But you got to think, Smith
Almost lost to Cleveland.
Devontae was out too, so Devontae's like the.
Devontae was irrelevant in this last game.
Well, you got to think though.
Negative
Yeah.
2 yards.
But with
Negative 2
AJ,
yards, 1 catch.
with AJ being out and Devontae being out, they kind of feed off each other. Like AJ will
Absolutely.
get all the big plays, but Devontae is that I need a first down. That's Devontae.
And this is all while missing Dallas Goedert as well. And what I will say is the Eagles' young cornerbacks, Kenyon Mitchell, even though he can't catch a pass, but he's looking like an elite cornerback. Like,
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, first and foremost, coming into this game, the Eagles' D-line was one of the worst in the NFL as far as sacks goes. Not anymore.
No.
We're now inside the top 15.
Hey, there you go.
Let's get it, boys.
and you said
Top
that
half.
kind of romantically.
Let's get it, boys.
Yeah, it's
Caught
like
that?
bro,
Like,
top
absolutely.
15.
Top 15.
But I was like, you can't discount Joe Burrow on the other side either, because Joe Burrow, honestly, he has the skills to put up like 400 or 500 yards each game that he goes into. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, that dynamic duo. I was like, the Eagles have their own, but the Bengals, they have an
Absolutely.
even bigger
Who's the
one.
Bengals running back?
We got Chase Brown and Zach Moss. Chase Brown's been balling this year.
Ball in on my
Really?
bench. Trying to package him up, though. Straight up.
He's
Yeah, but
just
Chase
throwing
Brown's been
that,
looking good
throwing
this
that
year.
out there to the rest of the group.
Yeah.
Throwing the package.
But what I will also throw out there is Bills Seahawks. Again, you can't anything. Also, I don't know if
That should
maybe
be a
like,
nail biter. I mean, Gino got crushed by the Niners, but then he came back last week. And
Yeah, played pretty well.
Like, I don't know if this is like my secret man crush in the NFL, but
It is.
Josh Allen can just do no wrong when he plays. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Name one quarterback that can throw it as far as he can throw it accurately and run it like he can run it and lead his team single carrying. Like, he literally carries his team on his back week after week after week.
Absolutely.
The offense goes through him. No other quarterback besides maybe Patrick Mahomes.
This
Angel,
year,
I
I
see
don't
you
know.
looking over there.
Well,
What's
because
going
I'm
on?
wondering, like,
It's not great.
is that a good thing though, or does that mean his team sucks and he has no help?
But see, that's the thing with Patrick Mahomes, though. I was like, Patrick Mahomes, his team does suck. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. His team.
Not great.
not his
does suck.
defense. This
His
the number one
defense is what
sir.
keeps
Aren't they
them in it,
7-0?
honestly.
Yeah, there's something.
7-0
6-0 right
on
now.
on their defense,
Or
but also
6-0.
they're playing a soft schedule. I mean,
A little bit
they played the 49ers.
when we're banged up.
Not at the
Okay,
not at
we're gonna
the-
go there.
Yeah, we're gonna go there because again, they beat the 49ers, but they
He
didn't
took
beat
the,
them at full
the
pop.
jab at you earlier, and you come at me. That's how this works.
Yeah,
That doesn't make
exactly.
any sense.
Everyone needs to get one jab at someone here.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, Patrick Mahomes does not look good this year. He's got 6 passing touchdowns and 8 picks. He's looking like Daniel Jones a little bit with those stats.
Absolutely.
I will testify to Muffins having a man crush, Superman crush on Josh Allen, though. He has Saquon tatted on his left butt cheek and Josh Allen on his right. So
I can't with you. No, but Josh Allen's
No,
been looking
middle,
good this year, man.
middle. Just
Oh,
a
like
cross between.
straight across the stretch.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the landing strip.
that should be
No.
a good game, though. I mean, Amari Cooper really getting his bearings in with that offense. You know, you're going to see a lot of deep balls. Him and Josh Allen connect. That connection there is just
Yeah.
going to grow. Are they
Absolutely.
playing in Seattle? Because
Yes.
that makes a huge difference.
It's in
are.
Seattle at
With
Lumen
that
Field.
The
12
12
man
man
there.
12
So
man.
But also quietly, Geno Smith leading the league in,
I believe in yardage, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the status is, but Geno coming into the game last week, he was leading it. I don't know if Lamar overtook him, but I think not. I think Geno's still leading.
He's got a trio of solid receivers.
But they're not doing nothing. Jackson Smith and Jigma had more passing yards this last game than he did receiving yards.
Yeah, it's not been looking
talented, versatile.
Interesting.
With one pass.
All right, folks, let's move on to our next segment. We call it the booms and busts. We do like to spread our wings and go into the fantasy category as well, because we are big in fantasy football as far as our attention to detail and stuff like that. So, Caleb, what do you got for us? Who's your booms this week?
Yeah, looking this week, we're looking at a little bit of a bounce back week this week. I'm picking Justin Herbert against the New Orleans Saints this week to absolutely go off. That New Orleans Saints defense has been kind of rough this year, and they're a little bit banged up. I mean, Kool-Aid, I believe, is injured this week. We're looking at a guy that could bounce back this week in a massive, massive way. That's
the Saints
what I'm
have
taking.
fallen off a cliff. I mean, they started off really hot. Now they can't even score a point.
Yeah,
you think that's
because
I mean, that's
of
a Derek Carr? That's got to be a Derek Carr thing.
That's part of it. But it's like they started at 2-0 against Carolina and Dallas, two teams that really have not played great this year. And then as soon as they started playing those division games and everything like that, that's when they started just dipping. Started 2-0. Now they're 2-5. It is not a good look for the New Orleans right now.
But also, Kamara had 7 rushing attempts in this last game.
Yeah, you can't be doing that when he's your best player on offense right now. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting. All right, so the real boom of the week, A-Rod. He's got this is going to be his second week with
Rodgers.
his boys.
This coming from the guy who bashes the Jets every week.
Every week. But yeah, we won't talk about that later.
I love that pick. I mean, he gets his best friend back, right?
Yeah.
2 weeks of practice. It's going to be solid. It's going to be.
And also, too, not to mention, he's playing probably the worst team in the league. So you got the Patriots there. That's a really good game to really get some momentum going in your direction, right?
Because they need a win. They need a win.
Yeah,
flat out. They need
I like that. I like
Especially
that.
when you're playing against
and you know what?
Drake May.
Also, too, Rodgers is still on the waiver wire in a lot of, you know.
I just picked him up today, so
he's still out there, folks. So if you have a QB on bye week and you're looking for a nice fill-in replacement, Rodgers isn't a bad idea.
Or Patrick Mahomes, who gives you 1 point.
But you know what? We'll stick with the Jets. My boom is going to be Breece Hall. I mean, first and foremost, everyone in this podcast doesn't understand the hype in Breece Hall. He was a first round in draft in fantasy.
He's hot and cold to me. I call him icy hot.
He's had 2 bad games the entire season. I mean, nobody has bad games, really. Like it doesn't make any sense. The man
I don't
is
even
on
want
fire.
to talk about Breece Hall.
Then since
he's
I can't. I don't understand the hype, man. He's just like he's so flaky.
What do you mean?
When you need him, he ain't there.
David continues to try to preach on Breece Hall like he's tatted on his butt cheeks as well, but we know he's not. He's been trying to offload him for the last 4 weeks in a row.
When you have a stacked team, like I have a stacked team in
You're
fantasy,
7-0,
you gotta
aren't you?
unload someone.
7-0.
You're 7-0.
And Caleb, I hate to do it to you, bro. But I want to be 8-0.
Don't do it. Don't do it to me. Leave me alone. Let me get a win, man. Come on. Give me some pity, bro. No, but Breece Hall, he's been balling out this year. I mean, like you said, he's only had a couple games where it's not great. I'm looking at it right now. 3 games under 50 rushing yards. Otherwise, he's been balling out this year.
I like that pick. Solid pick. I mean, they are playing the Patriots just like Rodgers, so I can see them both booming.
Everyone heard it here. John
My
agreed with
boom
me.
from the week for the week is going to be Jennings. Not just because I'm a Niner fan, but there's a lot of injuries, and hey, Debo might be out, right, with his pneumonia.
Yep.
We know BA is definitely out.
He's gone.
And we've seen what Jennings could do when he's the main guy in San Fran. So I really feel like he's going to put up a crazy week. And he's still available on a lot of waiver wires as well. So if you guys are looking for a fill-in, you have a flex player, on a bye week, go pick up Jennings. He's going to boom this week. Let's move on to bust. Caleb, who's your bust on the week?
Man, my bust this week, I'm looking at my league neighbors for the Giants, man. Daniel Jones is god awful. He has not given this man basically any targets all year. And Malik Neighbors consistently is like, man, I'm open. Just throw me the ball. I am open. No one's on me. And it's, Daniel Jones just can't get it, man. He's just not playing well this year. I mean, we've seen it year after year. Daniel Jones is a bust. But Malik Neighbors, man, I feel bad for the guy because I think he's a really solid player and he looks good when he gets the ball, but he's just not getting the ball this year at all.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, that's solid. My bust for the week, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield with no receivers. I feel like he's going to resort to 3 picks. I'm saying he's going to throw
Baker.
3 interceptions this upcoming week. I'm telling you now, he's just going to crumble. I don't know why, because he's like so hot and cold. I feel like he's a solid NFL quarterback,
Definitely.
but that's when he has protection of solid players around him. Like, I don't feel like he can lead and carry a team and put them on his shoulders and take them to the promised land. So my bust of the week is Baker Mayfield.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Honestly, it's with his receivers,
It's rough.
It's kind of hard not to pick him.
Yeah.
But my bust this week in his return game is going to be Cooper Kupp. Everyone in this fantasy football though is literally, I was like, if
Bro, he's the biggest Cooper
Yeah,
Kupp lover,
he's-
man.
That's your original man crush.
that's so I had to get him removed when he got hurt for the first, second, and
There's
third
still an
time.
outline though.
Yeah,
of
there's
it.
still an outline of it there.
Yeah, it's not all gone. Not all gone.
You can remove tats, but not completely. There's still.
But I was like,
The
you got to
remnants.
think. Kyron Williams is the vocal point of that offense right now. I mean,
Absolutely.
Matthew Stafford, even with no weapons, with no offensive line, he is still that guy. And what I will say is, everyone wants to say that the Lions won that trade with Jared Goff, which right now they're looking like they did. However,
Definitely.
Matthew Stafford has a Super Bowl ring out of it, which is what you trade for in the first place. So
Yeah.
did they win out of it? I don't know. But honestly, Cooper Kupp just gets hurt way too early, way too often. I mean, you guys, when you force feed someone, of course, I mean, I don't know, are they purposely rolling this man's ankle or purposely trying to get him out? Because nobody can stop him when he is 100% healthy.
Definitely, yeah. And it's a really tough matchup this week. Thursday night against the Vikings, one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. It's going to be a rough game for Cooper Kupp.
Absolutely rough game. What about you, John? What's your bust?
My bust. He's been putting up points. He was injured, but he is one of the top running backs in the league. Alvin Kamara. I really feel like the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, they lost a nail biter. They're going to bring the heat. And
They got a solid defense over there.
yeah, and I don't see they're going to focus on really New Orleans' only guy. And I think they're going to eliminate him from the picture. So if you got Alvin Kamara in your lineup, if you have to play him. But I think he's going to be under 10 points.
Definitely, yeah. Especially with Rashid Shaheed out this week. That's going to be real, or for, I think, the year, actually.
So what John's trying to do right now is trying to get his hands on Alvin Kamara. So he's trying to de-escalate his
The
value
setup.
right now so that he can go out. And
The setup.
he's planting the ideas.
These are Muffin's tactics, by the way. So this
No,
is not
he's
something that I do. I
absolutely
only do
not.
fair trades, and I don't devalue players. I
Except for
offer
the trade for
comparable-
today. But we'll talk about that sometime later. We're not
All right,
doing
you
that.
guys. So you got your booms and busts. Hopefully this helps you out on your fantasy week and helps you win a game. Now to our absolute favorite segment. We give our fans, our viewers, a chance to win some money. And just keep in mind, we have spent a lot of time really focusing in on a pick from each of us that we can parlay into a 4-way parlay and win you guys some money. What's this segment called, fellas?
Fire picks.
Fire picks. Let's
Fire
go.
picks.
Ding, ding, ding.
Caleb, who's your fire pick on the week?
I'm taking Jordan Love over 1.5 passing touchdowns this week. He's been playing really, really well this year, and against a really weak Jacksonville Jaguars defense, he could be dropping 3, 4, 5 passing touchdowns this week. God knows what he's going to do this week, but definitely at least 2 is what we're looking at.
Absolutely.
I like that pick, and they score a lot of points over there in Green Bay. So I can
Yeah.
definitely see that happening.
They're doing really
That
well
sounds
this
like
year.
a fire pick to me. Who do you got as your fire pick, and go?
Taking Detroit in the over. I feel like Detroit, they put up points. I think they're playing Tennessee. I was looking at it earlier. I mean, Tennessee averages 17 points a game. Detroit's averaging 30. I mean, that's 47 points right there.
Detroit almost gets the over by themselves in every single game
Yeah,
at this
so-
point. So I'm
yeah,
like,
they do very
That
well.
to me is like that's an easy one to pick right there.
absolutely.
What about you,
Definitely.
John?
Well, I'm gonna save mine for last. Muffins, who's your fire pick on the week?
I mean, again, I have to go with the team. I bleed green on this one,
Oh, dear
but
God.
Saquon Barkley and going over the rushing yards this week. If the rushing yards were 150, I'd probably still go over it. That's
You
how,
would. You would.
That's how much faith I have in Saquon Barkley to go.
That one I'm a
over.
little nervous about, because usually when you have so much energy going into a game, I mean, there's a lot of emotions, right? Going back to New York, you put up a crazy game. What did he have? 176
Yeah,
points, something like
absolutely.
that. Come back and do it all over again and get over 100.
If
That
anyone
one I feel a
can,
little
Saquon
nervous
Barkley can.
about, but I'm gonna roll with you. Could
Yeah.
happen, and I definitely want to win some money. So
Absolutely.
my fire pick on the week, Rodgers. I know we talked about him a few times already, but I really feel like Rodgers
Wash.
playing the Patriots, getting his groove, having that extra. What's the time he's gonna have with Devontae now? Probably around 15 days.
2 weeks, yeah. Solid
Roughly,
2
yeah.
weeks.
about.
2 weeks. He's
2
gonna
weeks of
gel.
solid
He
practice.
knows he
he relies on him.
They're like living together. So
Actually, yeah, Devontae moved into his house.
The whole Tom Brady, Antonio Brown thing. Are they living together now?
And he's going to come back with some vengeance. He knows that he threw those atrocious picks late to help him lose the game. And, I really feel like with his stacked wide receiver lineup, he's going to get over 2 touchdowns, fellas. So just to recap, Rodgers over 1.5 touchdowns. We got Jordan Love over 1.5 touchdowns. We got Saquon over the rushing yards. Is it set at 100 yards? It might be less than that. So let's do the over.
Vegas, for some reason, never sets it at 100. They usually set it somewhere around 89.
So pick the over, right?
Yeah, so definitely pick the over.
Pick the over rushing yards. And then what was yours going to go?
Detroit, I think it's 45 points.
Oh,
that's
an easy
I mean,
one.
Detroit's
Absolutely.
scoring that by themselves every week. And they're playing Tennessee.
Yep.
Yeah. There you have it. There you have it, you guys. $20. That's probably going to win you $250.
We'll see.
They're not letting us pick it yet, but we will let you know the accurate thing. But go ahead and set that in as your parlay. Guaranteed to hit. I'm going to vouch for it. Moving on to our next segment, our locks of the week. So every single week, we're going to be picking 3 teams each, and we're going to keep track of these. All right. So we've also thought very, very hard about the teams that we're picking here, because at the end of the season, we're going to have a winner, whoever picks the most, and we're still coming up with the prize, but it's going to be worth it. So, and also too, if for the bettors out there, we live in Vegas, this kind of gives you a little bit more to bet after you hear what we got to say.
Yeah.
Caleb, who's your locks on the week?
This week, I'm picking the Broncos to win in Carolina. I mean, that is a pretty easy game. I mean, Carolina has been awful this year. Broncos have been on a roll a little bit. Bo Nix is looking pretty solid this year. I'm picking Broncos in a win over Carolina. I'm also taking Chiefs over Raiders this week. I know being in Vegas, picking the Chiefs to beat the Raiders is like a hate crime, but you know what? I'm taking the Chiefs this week. Even though Mahomes does not look great, the Raiders look even worse. Aiden O'Connell, he's now on IR, so Gardner Minshew's back in the starting lineup. We'll see how that plays out this week.
I'm always weary about undefeated teams going to play a lesser team. It's always kind of like a trap game, but I really feel comfortable with the Raiders getting smashed this game.
Now with Devontae Adams gone, I mean, that offense is much, much worse. And last but certainly not least, I'm looking at Detroit over Tennessee this week. Detroit's going to absolutely wipe the floor with Tennessee this week. I believe Mason Rudolph is starting this week, but still, I mean, Detroit is just going to, they're just going to obliterate Tennessee.
Absolutely. All right. I mean, that sounds good. But let's get to some real picks here. Obviously, we know I'm taking Washington to beat Chicago. Even without, Daniels being down, Mario is going to run that offense and show these Chicago guys how it's really done. I'm taking the Jets to beat New England. And the real reason I'm taking the Jets to beat New England is because I've been on New England's side for the past 2 weeks, and they have let me down. So, F New England. I'm taking the
Which
Jets.
I don't know why. We keep telling him, why are you rooting for the worst team in the league?
Because of Drake May and Drizzy we trust.
Honestly, Drake didn't have a bad game.
Exactly.
But come on now. It's the rest of the team.
Hating.
It's not just him.
And then I'm taking Green Bay to beat Jacksonville. I mean, if Green Bay doesn't beat Jacksonville, I'm done. I'm turning in these headphones. That's terrible.
Well, Jacksonville did catch some momentum last week.
They caught some momentum.
By beating who? New England.
Your boy.
Yeah, your spread pick of the week, which is why you're no longer allowed to pick any spreads.
We'll talk about that at another time, guys. Don't listen to these guys. So we'll talk about that later.
Alrighty, but I'll move on to some of my own, the actual real picks for the week.
Yeah, really quick. If we ever come on this show and we're doing our fire picks and Gal picks a spread, just go the other.
Yeah,
don't
do it. Or you know what? Move the line. If he picks 4.5, just go up to 7 because
this sure as hell is not going to be that close.
Who you got, Muffins?
Alrighty, let's go. Again, picking with the heart, I'm going to go with Philly over the Bengals. I mean, this one, honestly, 2 elite offenses. It can go either way, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and stick with my Eagles. They look like they have everything figured out, especially on defense now. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. Joe Burrow is great, but you know what? Not as good as the Eagles. All right. Moving on to the 49ers. This is where we all become family for the week. 49ers Cowboys.
Just for the week.
Absolutely. Yes. I don't care if it was I don't care what the spread was. And we could bet on this one together. But the Cowboys honestly they're doing terrible this year.
Let's go Niners.
Every single game it seems like
I love this Niner love. Let's go.
Dude, I'm
First
happy
time ever.
Every single game, it seems like CeeDee Lamb and Dak are arguing, so they don't have it figured out. The defense, Micah Parsons, I don't know if Micah Parsons is even back, but he doesn't want to be there anymore. That whole team's imploding. And as an Eagles fan, I love
They had a chance to pick up Derrick Henry, and they chose Zeke Elliott. If that doesn't tell you right there,
absolutely.
Trash.
Jerry doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a must win for the Niners. There's a lot of pressure on Purdy. So I can definitely see the Niners. Well, it was a tough game for both sides. I mean, I think he had comparable stats to Patrick Mahomes.
Again, back-to-back weeks where John's comparing Patrick Mahomes and Purdy in the same.
I'm confused on that too.
Honestly,
he's just elusive. I love it. He always
if
throws a
nothing
good
else,
ball.
at least I'm not the one doing it. At least I'm being reasonable and
well, it's on
understanding.
photo. It's on. We have evidence now, so John can't deny this in the future. 3 terrible picks, by the way.
All right, was
over
that your
Purdy's
last
fault.
pick, or can we move on?
No, I'm gonna pick my last one in the Steelers over the Giants. Again, Philadelphia is my team, but I'm gonna always vote against the NFC East. And Steelers, honestly, look, they have a decent defense. Russ is cooking, so he's gonna continue to cook, and the Steelers are gonna get that dub.
Alrighty. Nice try, fellas, but I think I'm gonna get the edge this week right away. I'm going with the Jets over the Patriots. I mean, that's an easy pick for me. I'll put that one in the bag. I've already cashed that ticket in, and I'm gonna go with the Chargers. They're coming back for their revenge game. They're playing New Orleans. I really feel like they just got to hone in on Alvin Kamara, and that takes away all their offensive, explosions
I like
there.
that one. I like that
so
one.
I'm going to go with Jim Harbaugh. Usually, too, historically, with a Jim Harbaugh team, if they have a bad game, they usually come back and dominate the next game.
Now,
and
John,
the Chargers have a good defense. So,
now, John, I do have a question for you. Is
Yes,
it
sir.
just because John Harbaugh was once the 49ers head coach that
Jim
we're taking
Harbaugh,
this?
by
Jim
the way.
Harbaugh.
Ooh.
But I do have some love for Jim.
Any
But
of the
that's not the
Harbaughs.
reason. He just wins everywhere he goes.
Any of the Harbaughs.
Yeah, he won at Stanford, one in San
I
Francisco.
don't like
one
John,
in
by the
Michigan.
way. He beat us in the Super Bowl. My last pick, I'm going to go with Bo Nix. I'm going to go with Sean Payton. Putting it all together and putting on a good game. I take Denver winning. So I got Chargers, Jets, and Denver taking home the win. Remember, we're going to keep track of these, and we're going to see who really can talk the talk. And then, like I said, for my Vegas people out there, if you want something extra to bet, go ahead and bet on my picks because they're going to hit. I don't know about these other guys.
John doesn't know what he's talking about. Don't listen to him.
His team is 3-4, by the way. This is like his fantasy team. 3-4.
Hey, I had a lot of hurt
It's meant
players.
to be.
They're waiting in the wings.
So are the Niners.
He's a
We're gonna
second
clean it
half.
up.
It's McCaffrey.
he has a
McCaffrey's
second
the only
half
one waiting
team.
in the wings, guys.
He has a second half team.
All right,
That's what
and
that
Gal,
is.
what do you got for us? We always end the show off on some trash talk and Gal's trash talk. What's trash this weekend, Gal?
All right, guys. So I got a couple topics. Just 2 short topics about what I feel like is just really trash. The first one is injury. This is an injury-filled season in the
Remove
NFL.
the glasses.
Yeah, I had to remove the glasses for that. Not just because I can't see.
Gotta take it
but,
serious.
Yeah, I have to take it very serious. Players are just getting injured left and right, like all over the place. There's like no protection in the NFL. Yeah, they did the thing with the kickoff where they changed it where they can't run until, but now the kickoffs are sucked. That's trash. So that shouldn't even been a thing. All the amount of low hits, people are getting their knees tore up.
Yep.
Every game you see players getting hit in the knees. I've never seen people get hit so low. It's like so ridiculous right now. It's trash. I'm gonna leave that at that. My second topic, and this one is dear to my heart, not just because I'm broke. Has nothing to do with me being poor and broke. But how come people cannot afford to go to an NFL game? This is trash. Explain that to me. You can't, being a family man, I can't take my kids. Now, don't get me wrong, they don't want to go to an NFL game anyway, but if they wanted to go, I can't take them.
Nope.
Why? Because it's trash. It costs too much to go to an NFL game. I try to take my mama to a game. You know how much it cost me for 2 people to go to an NFL game? More than I had. That's how much it cost me. You don't need to know about that, but it's straight trash. If I wanted to eat, get a hot dog, it's cheaper to go to a baseball game. And who the hell loves baseball? Exactly. No one loves baseball. But it's cheaper to go to a baseball game. You'll have me be